How are we doing, Mets fans? Thank you guys all so much for chiming in. As you guys can see, I'm on location. Was in D.C. yesterday after Mets got this series dub against the Washington Nationals. Game one of a 5-game set, still out of town. It ain't stopping me from coming out with the post-game show. Let's get those dubs in the chat right now, folks. My apologies if I do have any delays with the connection at all, guys. Like I said, I am out of town. I probably look like a tomato, pardon me. Let me let me know how the connection is in the chat right now as well. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, I'm trying to get everything set up right now. Get those W's in the chat. Everyone, thank you guys so much for chiming in. We have so much to deep dive from this massive Mets victory, winning by a final that we saw today, 6-4. But yeah, guys, let me know in the chat how the connection is, because I know I have been having some connection issues. I do apologize if it's not perfect for this video, for this live show that you guys are getting. Again, as soon as I started dropping frames, but audio is good. Okay, hopefully if the frames aren't dropping too much, we'll be okay. But again, appreciate everyone chiming in. We have a big post-game show. We have a lot that we need to get into here on the Mets, and they're absolutely phenomenal, absolutely ridiculous, absolutely massive 6-4 victory over the Atlanta Braves, guys. You know how I've been saying regarding the Mets, and you saw there with Vogie. You saw it with Naquin. You saw with Petey. The big bat stepped up, just like they scored 3 bombs off the Braves back in their last game in Atlanta against the Braves in that series victory. They come out and hit absolute bombs once again. So again, appreciate everyone being in here, guys. We got a lot of hype. We got a lot to discuss for the team in Queens. Winning 6-4 is your final. So I'm going to be sharing my quick raw and reaction to tonight's win, the biggest highlights, why us Mets fans should be happy. And if we're going to give credit to Billy Epler with moves that he has made this year, surely it has to go with the likes of their offensive acquisitions. How's the bullpen going to look? We're going to see over time. But the Mets now 4.5 games up on the Braves. And now in this 5-game set, they look for a Game 2 victory tomorrow with Taijuan Walker on the bump. I'm feeling electric. I know you guys are too. Continue spamming those W's. Let's get that like and subs in the chat, guys. Thank you all so much for the support. I did see a new membership here in the chat. Let me go up real quick to try to address it, and then we will go from there. Again, my apologies if the audio, my apologies if the visuals are a little delayed at all. Again, I'm out of town right now, but that is not stopping me from wanting to do a massive post-game show. So get those dubs in there for you boys. Greatly appreciate it. Shout out to a new member on the channel, whoever that was. I didn't get a chance to see at the time. To my over 500 viewers, appreciate every single one of you guys. But guys, let's talk about it, because we didn't just get Volga back. We didn't just get Naquin. I have so much positives to say about, folks. We got Edwin Diaz, his first 6-out save of the year. Gets a check swing to end it, baby. That's how you do it on the big bat from the Braves. Let's get those W's even further in the chat, guys. It was so funny. Guys, I said it to all of you. If you guys watched Bleav in Queens episode 11 that came out yesterday on the channel with myself, Anthony Recker, former New York Met, now MLB Network analyst for not just MLB Network, but also analyst for Apple TV, and Joe Serralo, I discussed how, in my opinion, the biggest factor for this series for the Mets would be the likes of the depth acquisitions that they made, and Daniel Vogelback, and Tyler Naquin, and also Darren Ruff. And to the 3 that were playing tonight, they were the biggest X factors in the Mets win tonight, guys, other than Edwin Diaz. So I got to say, not that I'm trying to say, I told you so or anything like that. I just feel electric knowing that, again, the Mets, these depth bats, they've already done more for the Mets than Dom Smith and JD did all year at the DH position, guys. Naquin handling the corner without a problem. Mark Canha, I love that this gives the Mets more flexibility at the positions, guys. Absolutely nuts. I'm so proud of this team. We got a lot of deep dives, so enough of me, even though, yes, I'm going to continue to rant. Francisco, a 3-0 check swing. Oh, boy. You know you're down bad when you get a 3-0 check swing. And again, for it to happen, it was right. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. It was Riley, right? Because at that point, I was setting up the show. I had the audio on, but I wasn't watching the game for the final 2 outs. So let me know. I'm pretty sure that was Austin Riley. So that's even more hilarious. Him of all people, the Mets daddy a lot of the times. I'm going to gladly take a check swing to end it any and every day of the week. Thank you so much for the donut, Francisco. Greatly appreciate you. Oh, it was Riley? I mean, Arcia, pardon me. That's perfectly fine. Arcia was the one who bobbled the ball that we saw there, was trying to get an easy double play. Couldn't handle it. Yes, he would get a double play. Literally the pitch after, because Brandon Nimmo was first pitch swinging. No less. Absolutely love that the Mets were able to get it done just like that. I'm 3-0 on the count. Absolutely stupid, guys. But, guys, let's talk about this game. I'm pumped up. Cookie Carrasco on the bump. Luis with the $2 dono. Thank you so much for that. If Cookie wins 20 games and considerations for Cy Young, he's going to get up there. Not that wins everything, because we know Jacob deGrom has been the first guy to really show that you don't need wins to win a Cy Young. You just got to be dominant. However, if Cookie continues to pitch strong the way he has, he might not be far from, on the outside looking in for Cy Young consideration. He's better than that schmuck across town that's making over $300 million in Garrett Cole, Mr. Kermit himself, Mr. Choke Job himself, giving up 6 runs yesterday and going a bomb to Jared Kelenic. Like, seriously, get out of here with that nonsense. Not that the Yanks are living rent-free in my head, but it was hilarious to see the biggest schmuck, the biggest fraud of a baseball player in all the MLB get absolutely shelled yesterday. Yes, sir, Mets win in nice fashion. 6 run on 9 hits. Talk about nice, my man. Yoshima, thank you so much for the dono. Hype in the chat to you, brother. Let's get hype in the chat. Yoshima, everyone for the donos, guys. You guys are the absolute best. All right, guys, let's talk about this Mets game. Let's talk about this Mets victory. I got the Gatorade on deck. I've been drinking my electrolytes a lot lately. These drinks are really good. FYI, I'm just putting them aside. Guys, let's talk about this Mets game. Let's get into it. I cannot believe. I can't say I can't believe, because I can believe. But the fact that the Mets came out tonight and they continue to beat the Braves at their own game will always be so important to me. This shows and again, we have 4 more games in the series. We have 9 games total over a 2-week stretch. Anything can happen. Anything can change. I am fully aware of that. But right now, from what we have seen, every time the Mets have matched up against the Braves, is that the Mets, especially of recent, have been able to outbeat them on their own game. What are the Braves known for? They're known for the home run ball. They are known for that big swing and miss, right? That really carries their offense. The Mets, who have had the best offense in baseball, statistically speaking, post-All-Star break, it's been directly in hand with Daniel Vogelbach. It's not been directly in hand with Tyler Naquin. The Mets made Braves-esque 2021 offensive acquisitions. And, the Braves did kind of do something special last year. I'm not sure if you guys could enlighten me on what the Braves did in the 2021 season. By all means, go ahead in the comments. But point is that the Mets made these acquisitions. We haven't even seen Darren Ruff play yet. I can't wait to see Ruff. He's going to start against Max Fried in the middle of this series. He's probably going to be a pinch hitter tomorrow, I'd imagine, once a lefty comes out of the pen at the matchup wells. We saw Matzik was in there, but unfortunately didn't get to Ruff's term because Ruff would naturally come in for Vogelbach there if he matched up against a lefty. But no less, I'm so pumped up with the offensive acquisitions the Mets have made. For all the schmucks out there that told me that the Mets got fleeced giving up Colin Holderman, I love Colin, but I'm sorry, I love Vogie Hoagie even more. Man, back-to-back bombs in as many days, guys. Back-to-back bombs with Alonso today. But let's start with Cookie on the bump, because Cookie shoved. Cookie didn't look too great in the 5th inning. We're all aware of that, especially that second hit that he gave up there. Acuna getting that bomb. It was an 0-2 count. He gives him a slider right down the dick. Unfortunately, that goes dead center to the apple. That would do it for Cookie not long after that. Pardon me, it wasn't in the 5th or the 6th. I want to say it was the 5th. I could be wrong. No less, guys, Cookie starts off the game strong for the Mets, and he continues to hold his ground, something that we haven't seen with every pitcher throughout the year. But the Mets rotation in all July was among the best in baseball. Now entering August, it's continuing to be rock solid for this team. Chris Bassett pitched like a bulldog yesterday, got the job done. Cookie Carrasco comes down and gives you 6 strong, only 3 earned, had a couple strikeouts that you saw there in the top of the 1st. Then we got to the bottom of the 1st, folks, and the Mets tack on runs early, folks. And I think we know the story by now. When the Mets score early, they score often, and they tend to win ball games. I've said that line a million times this year, and I will say it a million more because it's not stopping anytime soon. Starling Marte with an infield single, the first base knock of the Mets of the day. And at that point, it felt like, the Mets have almost 140 infield hits on the season, guys. In case you're unaware, that is the most infield hits by far in all of baseball this year. Absolutely nuts. Francisco Lindor would get a walk because Lindor, again, another solid day on the plate. Then you have Pete Alonso. What did Pete do? No problem. Absolutely rushes a big pitch and pulls himself a nice RBI single, a deep RBI single to give the Mets the early 1-0 lead. And that surely would not be the only RBI Alonso would have tonight. But as we get to the 2nd inning, for the first time in Mets history, they have a new acquisition that hits not 1, but 2 bombs in his debut as a New York Met at home at Citi Field, guys. and that is Tyler Naquin, his first bomb of 2 on the night. A no-doubter. He pulls that bad boy to right. The Mets are up 2-zip on the Bravos in the Braves. Kyle Wright, how you doing? The Mets smacked him around like it was no problem. Can't even say I'm surprised about that because the Mets have shown that they can match up with any and all pitching that the Braves have provided so far this season, and that is phenomenal for a Mets team that's going toe-to-toe with the Braves down here in the stretch over the next 2 weeks to really indicate who is either going to stay in first or if there's going to be a changing of the guard here in the NL East. So we get to the third after an Naquin home run. Pete Alonso, was he do, guys? Pete Alonso gets himself a 2-run absolute piss missile, no doubt, to the left side. Mets are already up at that point by a wide margin, 4-0. And you know what, Bogey? He hit the grand salami that I was in attendance for yesterday. That ball hung up in the air so long, guys. I don't know if you could see it on SNY or the feed, but I am not exaggerating when I say that Vogelback's grand salami yesterday felt like it was in the air for an hour. It had so much arc, it caught so much air, and it still got out of there to right. What does Vogie do today? Absolutely murders a baseball, tears the cover off of it. Hoagie Vogie, how you doing, baby? He gets himself a solo shot and a back-to-back bombs for the Amazons that we saw there in the third. And just like that, the Mets have 5-zip without a problem. They would surrender a couple runs not long after, but they would add some insurance. Thank you, Naquin. And they would hold it down with probably the most impressive, and I cannot emphasize this enough, most impressive outing from a reliever in all of baseball. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're not named Edwin Diaz, you're not the best in baseball, and you're not having a better outing than what Edwin did today, guys. But before we get to Edwin's outing, let's talk a little bit further because the Mets weren't perfect in this one. They gave up a couple runs. They had some defensive issues, especially at the backstop. James McCann's first start back from his rehab stint after his oblique injury out for a little bit. The Mets did not address the catching position that we saw at the trade deadline, folks. And while it may still come to hurt the Mets down the stretch, we did see some early hurting here. I can't blame everything on McCann, but I have to imagine that if Tomasino was the backstop today, there would not be one but multiple runs scored off of a wild pitch. I got to say, I find it a little hard to believe for the balls that really the catcher could have controlled there. I mean, McCann early on in this one, guys, was really close to catching a pop-out, a fly-out right behind home plate. He switched his glove last minute. I don't know why he was trying to grip it the way he did, then try to go for the basket's catch last second, could not handle it there. And then McCann, again, would have more defense miscues. However, guys, let's get into a little bit further. You see that, in the fifth, Harris, the third, Michael Harris, the third, who's been a phenomenal rookie for the Braves this year. He gets the first run scored of the day that we saw there against Cookie Carrasco. And that was in part where a runner went from being on first into scoring position because, again, McCann was not able to handle the ball. So that would advance runners. He would get all the way third and then get home. Harris gets his RBI knock. The Mets are still up by a couple runs. However, it wouldn't take long because after that, Ronald Acuna Jr., everybody, Acuna, who again has been big at swing and miss this year, hasn't looked like the same Acuna that was MVP worthy over a year ago prior to his injury. It's his first year back from injury. I understand it. However, Acuna on an 0-2 count takes an off speed right down the pipe and looks no further. He gets himself a huge bomb to make it only a 2-run ball game for the Braves at that point. And right there, I wasn't concerned, but I was saying, you know what? The Mets, they can use some insurance runs. They wouldn't do anything, however, in the bottom of the fifth. But in the sixth, guys, that's where the Mets would start attack on more. Thank you so much. And Tyler Naquin, guys. Naquin, and I don't know why, guys. I got ragged by this. For whatever reason, I got ragged by some of you schmucks out there that are acting in delusion. And I've been delusional too. You guys know that. That's why you watch the show, because you get satisfaction out of it somehow when I'm a nut. No less. Naquin's first game as a New York Met. Remember, this was in Miami. What did he do? He went 0 for 4 on the day, but 3 of the 4 balls that he dealt with, other than I think one of them was a strikeout, the other 3 were all deep flyouts, and 2 of the 3 were deep flyouts to left field. It impressed me. I was like, okay, Naquin has some pop in his bat. I like that. Some Mets fans were saying I'm acting ridiculous. I don't know what my statement was wrong there by saying that I like the fact that Naquin has power in his swing, and 2, has power to spread it to opposite field. Giving me some Michael Conforto vibes there. I like to see that. What does Naquin do today on a pitch down and out of the zone, folks? Look at that pitch placement. It was literally out of the strike zone. Naquin barrels the absolute shit out of it, pardon my French. Goes Oppo Taco without a problem. The Mets tack on another run. They're up by a couple. The Braves would score another run in this one in the 7th because of a Michael Harris RBI double. Ottavino gives that up. Unfortunately, a wild pitch prior. If that didn't happen, a run probably doesn't score, you could rightfully argue. No less, Ottavino would strike out Acuna, if I'm not mistaken, the final batter of that inning to get out of it, only giving up that one earned run. It's a 6-4 ball game at that point. And here we have it, the bottom of the 7th. The Mets don't score more. It looks like they were about to. You see Brandon Nimmo with a walk. Why? Because it's Brandon Nimmo. It doesn't matter if it's lefty on lefty with Tyler Matson coming in. He's still going to get a walk with one of the best eyes in all baseball at the plate. What does Vogie do? Vogie, that we would see there, not pardon me, this what was this against? Was this against Matzik? No, it wasn't. This was against a righty at this point. My mistake, guys. I'm all over the place. However, Vogie would have a base knock in this game, too. I think it was the 8th if it wasn't the 7th. Vogie won 2 for 4 today. That's why he's in my Warriors top 5 along with the bomb. I have a lot more to say about Vogelback and how impressed I've been with him so far as a New York Met. However, guys, we get to the 8th, the top of the 8th. Edwin Diaz puts himself in a non-safe situation. Buck Showalter says, you know what? We've done this earlier this year. I put you in situations where you're facing the top or the heart of the order. I want you to get these big outs right here, right now. You're the best reliever in baseball. I trust you. And for an Edwin Diaz, guys, that simply could not at all get guys out in non-safe situations, was a Jekyll and Hyde pitcher that we saw there last year. This year, a different story. It doesn't matter what situation. You can even have him in as a spot starter, and I trust Edwin almost more than any other pitcher in this staff, which is saying a lot considering I have Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom in the rotation. That's how much I am confident with Edwin Sugar Diaz. Cue those trumpets and get the job done. And that surely is what happened on display. Took care of business without a problem there in the top of the 8th. And then in the top of the 9th, he took care of business even more. I didn't even know for certain if Edwin was going to come back out, guys, in the top of the 9th. I didn't know if we were going for Lugo there, considering that Diaz wasn't dealing with the same strength of batters that he saw in the top of the 8th. However, Buck goes out there, he throws the keys to Edwin, and he gets the job done. That is why Edwin Diaz is a top 2 star for me tonight. You could rightfully give him the number 1 if you want. He was simply lights out. I was jaw-dropped. He looked filthy. For him to get a check swing out to end it, guys. Huge on that 3-0 count. I'm so impressed with Edwin Diaz. I'm so impressed with this Mets team now, guys. Guys, the Mets now have 5 games on the Braves in the win-loss column, guys. That's massive. They're exactly 4.5 games up right now. But when you have 5 more wins, when the Braves have 5 more losses, rather, than the Mets, that's absolutely huge. Absolutely nuts. Look, I'm going to go on a limb and say that the Mets will at minimum win 1 more game this series. Knock on wood, we'll see what happens. The Mets have a great potential to win potentially 3 of 5 at minimum in this series, if not more. I love this team. Look, the Braves have done a lot of great things this year, but what have the Braves not done consistently this year, folks? They have not, and I mean not, done anything on a consistent level against teams not just above 500, but against the better ones in baseball. The Braves don't, let me put it this way. The Braves don't move me the way that the Braves moved me in the second half last year. Let's not forget, guys, when the Braves acquired Jock Pearson was the first early move. Then at the trade deadline, they acquired Jorge Soler. They acquired Rich Rodriguez, even though he wasn't on their playoff roster, I'm pretty sure. They also acquired the likes of Eddie Rosario and am I blanking on one more? Adam Duvall. They brought him back from Miami. They acquired these big bats, right? And they were huge for them. But more than just the bats that were huge come playoff time and were their MVPs, one thing that was massive for the Braves back then was that they finally started to shift in the second half of the year. If they weren't shifting defensively the way that they were, then they would not be in the position that they were come playoff time, in my opinion. They went on such a hot streak with those great offensive acquisitions and also that great defensive alignment that they simply were not doing in the first half of the 2021 season. So I look at the Braves and what they did last year. Don't get me wrong. They deserved the win. They had utmost talent. They rode that wave to stardom, rightfully so. However, this year for the Braves, we'll see what they do in the remainder of the series. We'll see what they do down the stretch. When I look at the scheduling, I look at how the Mets have matched up against the Braves this year. There is nothing about them where I don't look at the Mets and say, yeah, the Mets can take them. The Mets can do better. The Mets, at minimum, will be on the Braves' wavelength. I am confident in this team. The Braves have big boppers left and right, but the same way that they have big boppers is the same way that they are so damn swing and miss, to the point where I'm trusting a Mets team that has a perfect balance of big boppers right now, has a perfect balance of grinding out at bats, and also has a starting rotation that has been the best in baseball for a month and a half plus now. Their bullpen, while shaky, they have reinforcements. Trevor May, Drew Smith will be back fairly soon. David Pearson out of the pen. Let's see if he can be nasty as a lefty. Then you have Tyler McGill, who's one of my favorite players on the Mets right now. Shout out Julie's mom, who's a member on the channel. Love you, Julie. They have options. And don't get me wrong, I will critique Billy just as much as the next guy I have already if the new acquisitions don't continue to do well. Michael Givens, and really not doing much more than that. But when I look at this Mets team, I'm confident in them. This is the Mets division to lose, and I'm not just saying that from tonight's win. I've been saying that. There's no denying that this team is on another level right now, and this is without seeing one of the best hitters in all baseball for over 2 years now against Southpaws and Darren Ruff. In case you guys don't know, like I talked about in Bleav in Queens episode 11 on the channel and wherever you get your podcast, Darren Ruff has been a top 10 position player in all of MLB since the beginning of 2020 when facing Southpaws. He has a 150 plus WRC plus against Southpaws this year, which means he's over 50% better than the average player in the game against lefties. When are you going to see Ruff? You're going to see him start in Game 3, one of the games of the doubleheader in the against the Braves, against Max Fried. You're going to see Ruff against, say, a Matzik, against, say, a Minter, down the stretch, pinch hitting in these games, if not starting. You're going to see Ruff in this series in the same way that we have seen so far the likes of not just Naquin, but also Vogelbach step up. I expect the same from Ruff when he's facing lefties. The Mets have a combined DH with a 900 OPS. They quite literally built themselves their own Josh Bell. Yes, it takes up two positions, and yes, they're only both DHs. They don't have much at all defensive versatility. However, that should be enough for the Mets down the stretch here from an offensive standpoint to keep them afloat. So, guys, let's talk now about not just what we saw with Cookie Carrasco, who, again, I thought had a fine outing. Yeah, I did not like that pitch to Acuna, but really other than that, he really held his ground. Cookie now on the year has been looking rock solid, has looked phenomenal. What you could rightfully argue was the best NL starter in all the game the past month with how well he pitched. He had roughly over 20 scoreless innings so far entering tonight, after a couple innings. Then he gave up that bomb to Acuna. He gave up that one run to Harris. It is what it is. But when you look aside from what we saw from Cookie Carrasco, now let's get into deeper on Wardy's top 5 tonight, guys. Before I cut it off for people on replay, start to answer more of your donations or comments, questions, and concerns. I don't know if we're going to take callers tonight just because I'm currently, as you guys can see, I have my laptop, and I'm on my laptop right now, not my normal PC, so my connection's bad. That's why I have my laptop set up with my pizza box under it. I'm not even joking. And yeah, so let's talk for a second about Wardy's top 5 tonight. I got to go with Naquin. As amazing as Diaz was, and you can rightfully put Diaz number 1. I would not complain about it whatsoever. Tyler Naquin to be the first New York Met in their franchise history to come into Citi Field, his first home game as a New York Met, to not have one, but 2 bombs from different sides. You're going right and then left field. I love Tyler Naquin, guys. He was raking. He looked great against the Nationals, too. I mean, he looked solid against the Marlins. Tyler Naquin just continues to impress me, and this is the biggest thing to everyone that cried left and right saying that, oh, Naquin, oh, Vogelbach, and soon to be, oh, Ruff. These guys don't have good batting averages. Their OPS isn't pretty. This is the exact point I've been trying to make from the beginning, and this is exactly what the Mets did, guys. The Mets acquired these guys to be in platoon roles. That way you get the absolute best out of them. Naquin entering tonight had right around 840 or between 835 or 840 plus OPS against right-handed pitching. Daniel Vogelbach, we know the story, upwards of a 900 OPS against right-handed pitching. Darren Ruff, that we're going to see it maybe as soon as tomorrow as a pinch hitter against the Southpaw in the pen for the Braves. Roughly a 900 OPS against lefties. So as long as you utilize these guys in spots where they're going to be utilized how they do best, not facing righty against righty or lefty against lefty, they're going to be in a great spot to succeed. The Mets add this depth. They add this versatility from an offensive standpoint. And trust me when I say that these guys are bound to have more of an impact throughout the next 4 games in the series than maybe you initially thought heading into Game 1 tonight. So huge hats off to Tyler Naquin. How you doing? Love him on the Mets. But my number 2 star, look no further, of course, it is going to be someone in the likes of, yes, Edwin Diaz. When you don't get 1, you don't get 2, you don't get 3, you don't get 4, you don't get 5, you get 6. 6 out saves, baby. 6 out saves. His first of the season. Has Diaz ever gotten a 6-out save for the New York Mets? If he has, it's been a minute now. It hasn't been very often because Diaz has struggled mightily at times in multi-inning situations and non-save situations, going into save situations. Maybe he had one last year, if I'm not mistaken. However, Edwin, what else can I say? He's the best reliever in baseball. I don't think I need to expand on it much more than that. Then we get to the number 3 star. Pete Alonso continues to step up against big opponents, against the Braves. This is where you need your best players on the roster to have their best games. And Pete Alonso showed up. He got the Mets' first run of the day, had the first bomb of the day, 2 for 4 with the home run, with the 3 RBIs, the runs scored. Pete Alonso, I love you, Pete. We all love Polar Bear. I think that's all that needs to be said there. Just consistency is Pete Alonso as one of the best bona fide sluggers the game has to offer. My number 4 star, you might ask, that's Daniel Vogelbach. Why Vogie Hoagie going back to back? Of course, I'm going to give him my number 4, at least number 4 at minimum. Had a base knock later in the innings in this one too. Vogelbach goes from the grand salami yesterday to the bomb today. I'm almost certain, guys, that Vogelbach has played in 9 games as a New York Met now, 9 or 10. I'm pretty sure he's over an RBI per game, if I'm not mistaken. Let's think here. He had 7 RBIs in around 7 games entering yesterday's game, if I'm not mistaken. And then he had a 4 RBIs because of the grand slam, right? So you add the 4 at 11, you add 12. Does Vogelbach cut 12 RBIs already, guys, as a New York Met? Let me know in the chat because I don't have the number off of me. Again, I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. I know he had a bunch of RBIs for the Mets already. I'm pretty sure Vogie has between 10 and 12 plus RBIs already as a New York Met, over an RBI per game pace right now for a guy that's being utilized to a T by Buck Showalter and the New York Mets. And again, guys, everyone chiming in, thank you so much for that. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on. It's greatly appreciated, folks. We're trying to get to 300 plus likes by the end of the live show, maybe even 4, because we've been around 700 to 800 live viewers concurrent here. So thank you so much for that. What? Vogelbach has 5 RBIs? No. Vogelbach doesn't have 5 RBIs. Why? Am I thinking of runs scored? What am I thinking of? Why am I thinking? Oh, see, I'm an idiot. Again, I know I'm an idiot. I don't know why I was thinking it was more than that. Maybe it was runs scored. What was it? Was it runs scored? I don't know. Again, I'm an idiot, though. Yeah, I'm tripping. That's fine. That's completely fine if I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just, I'm trying to speak something into existence that I know is going to happen over the next couple games. Okay. All right. 12 donuts. Oh, you guys are terrible. You know what? That's fine. Vogie can have all the damn donuts he wants as long as he's continuing to be awesome. Yes, a lot of runs scored. Okay. I'd imagine I was thinking the runs then. That makes a lot more sense. So he got 12 donuts. He got a dozen donuts on deck. He got a dozen runs. Has 5 RBIs. 4 runs scored. Okay, I'm just an idiot, Hank. That's fine. Hits. Doesn't even have it. I don't know. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. Again, I don't know. I saw a stat. I could have sworn it said like 7 RBIs, but maybe it was, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I'm just all over the place. Again, it's late night. This is me ranting. This is what happens. It is what it is. But now let's get back into one of my final statements before I cut things off for people on replay and answer your questions. Cookie Carrasco is my number 5 star after another game from Vogie. Cookie, again, probably would have been a little bit higher if he did not give up that bomb to Acuna. It's okay, though. He's been Mr. Consistent for the Mets. You love to see that. I'm just proud of this Mets team overall with everything that they have been able to do from a pitching perspective, from an offensive perspective. Even, I'm not gonna gas up the bullpen much. However, we need to see a lot more from the bullpen. I thought that Michael Givens was thrown into the Sharks yesterday. I did not like him personally pitching yesterday. I understood there was a blowout. I understood the mindset, but the guy literally hadn't even been with the Mets for 24 hours, and he's already getting outing, has no familiarity with the pitching staff at all. I don't know. I'm not going to give the benefit of the doubt to Givens much. I won't. He will be better 1,000%. But it just, from a mentality perspective, I didn't like throwing him out there because to see him get shelled and to see Buck keep him in there kind of bothered me, just because talking about him making a debut with a team and you shit the bed the way that you did, naturally that can impact your mindset a little bit, even with you being a gamer, a veteran, a professional in your games going forward. So when looking at the bullpen, I expect to be better. I'm fully confident in that. But from an overall viewpoint regarding this New York Mets team, they have a lot of things cooking right now, and that is really, really exciting because I feel like we have yet to see the best of them. I want to see Darren Ruff. He's that god against lefties. I'm excited to see him against Max Fried. But guys, now I'm going to cut things off for people on replay, then get to everyone's donos, comments, questions, and concerns. For everyone here in the live show, guys, let me know in the chat, who is your number one star from tonight's win? That's what I want to see to my 700-800 plus viewers right now. Continue to spam it in the live chat. I greatly appreciate it. Who is your number one star for me tonight? If we're on the same wavelength or if we're different, it doesn't matter. And for people on replay as well, let me know in the comments below. What is your biggest takeaway from this 6-4 win, the first game of a 5-game set against the Atlanta Braves? Guys, who is your number one star? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on as always. Greatly appreciate it. People in the live show, let's get those comments, donations now. People on replay, this is where I'll be cutting things off.